Hello everyone, thank you for all those who left comments and likes on that last video. It let me know that I really should keep going with this YouTube thing. Anyway, today we're gonna go into something much like the previous video, and we're going to delve into the void of YouTube. Specifically, we're going to talk about the differences between big successful channels and smaller but still successful channels. What I mean by small successful channels are those who have 7 to 20k subs. First and foremost, I want to ask you guys, how often have you tried to contact a popular YouTuber? And how often do you get a response per time you ask? I would hazard to guess that it probably isn't very often, maybe less than 10%. The fact of the matter is, if they tweet, sometimes they will have a few hundred to thousands of retweets or video comments on YouTube videos. The odds of them seeing your comment in the sea of others is just, it's so slim. And then you have to imagine, will they actually respond? Well, probably not. And if you expect them to, you're fooling yourself. To feel so entitled like you must get a response is frankly repulsive. You know, they are humans too, and it just so happens that the human behind the avatar or the screen, for those who show their face, has achieved a semi or full-blown celebrity status, and it comes with popularity, and it's not the fault of the creator. Now let's talk about other channels. You have small channels, often talked to maybe by 20 people on a consistent basis, and probably up to about 100, but unlike the big channels, they usually have the time to talk with those who try and chat with them. By the way, I need to mention that these examples are generalizations, and you should not expect everyone to act accordingly. Everyone is different, and you shouldn't expect one creator to act the same as the other creator, nor should you hold them to the same standards of communication as you would talking to another creator. Anyway, continuing on, the smaller channels seem to enjoy the conversations because it helps them self-reflect on what they can improve on. And I like to believe that they enjoy speaking with the fans. I honestly think that small but successful channels speaking with even smaller channels who may not even have 100 subs is remarkably humbling. From my perspective, I've been able to ask curious questions to several YouTubers I enjoy who have about 15k and 17k subs respectively. It has given me that kind of advice that I was searching for, those responses that I was searching for in regards to my own channel. And honestly, putting in the effort, speaking with others, growing your network, it seems very reminiscent of college. You know, like a student looking for his first job. Talking to people, networking, putting your best foot forward, making an impression, etc. You know, you get the opportunity to show your stuff to people who have so graciously given you the time to consider you. It honestly feels like a job app. I think that's a good way to look at it. Because if you really want to make this an analogy full-formed, then imagine you as a small creator, you are a student about to graduate with a degree in YouTube, you know. And then you have your companies of well-established and large employee numbers and sometimes turnover rates. Let's, for all intents and purposes, let's give it like Google corporate and let's say Boeing, I don't know, Fortune 500 companies, right? Let's just go with that. Well, that's all well and good, but there's a whole bunch of other companies that you can apply for. And a lot of people will tell you at that time when you are a student, yes, you can apply to those larger companies. And yes, they may look at your resume, but it's not necessarily guaranteeing you a spot or even a consideration. And then there's a whole bunch of these smaller companies, right? There are these smaller startup companies. So if we are going through this analogy and small content creators are, you know, students, and big creators are established companies with Fortune 500 tags sometimes. then the smaller companies would be these smaller YouTubers, right? So if you quote unquote apply your skills and your videos to people like them, then they basically act as the form of a recruiter in this case. A person who has probably been in your position within the past 2 to 5 years, whose quote unquote job it is to actually usher people from one stage of their life to the next stage of their life. Whether or not they do this consciously is a different story. But I see this happen quite a bit. You'll have smaller YouTubers collaborating with other small YouTubers that have a decent subscriber base. And they will work together on a video. They will come on each other's streams. They will, share the love, so to speak. And it usually goes quite well for them. In fact, people usually start associating one group with the other group, or one person with the other person. And the fans get to intermingle as well. And so there comes to be this innate relationship between the viewership. And so it's not very hard to have people who like one channel then go to the next channel. This doesn't happen in any other kind of work, by the way. You never see musicians go on tour with one another who maybe have the same sound but don't actually work together in any sense. I'm a big fan of Nightwish, for example, and I really wanted to see Amy Lee from Evanescence once the band had lost yet another singer, for Amy Lee to then take up that spot, because in my head I was just thinking about how the sound of Amy Lee works with the sound of Nightwish, and I thought, well, that could really work out quite nicely. But because of rules with recording labels and international recording contracts and a whole bunch of other stuff, it's unlikely to happen. Yeah, of course, you have songs like where people are featured in them, but those are people who are on the same contract, the same record label. Most of the time, what you'll find is that people are not allowed to collaborate outside of their contracts or outside of their record label, because that record label then can't promote them together. But anyway, these channels, they are really useful for small content creators. And even myself, I have started to speak with small content creators, the ones with 15k subs, 17k subs, but also some that have 300 subs, some 400 subs, whatever. And I believe that we can help each other out. Like in school, students will often collaborate with one another in order to get the best grade at the end of the semester. So if all of the people who are struggling together started to talk to one another and start to network, then we can build something between audiences of related topics. I'm not saying that we have to be the same or think the same, or we don't have to follow the same kind of rules or belief system. All I'm saying is that we should probably talk to one another so that we can throw ideas back and forth with one another. But again, these are just my thoughts on the situation. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns, or if you thought anything that I said might be a little off. I'd love to hear about it. But that's going to be it for today. I'm going to head out of here, and I'll see you guys soon.